Okay.
Betting's over. She's in recording.
I did officially say that when
That's
we
just
kick
some
it
kind of
off.
Hispanic video. Okay, I'm about to get ready to leave, pick up something. Get Mr. Crane to
Okay,
sign
guys,
here.
everybody that is not on mute, go ahead and mute yourself. And I think I'm going to keep letting these people in, obviously, because I still want them to join, even though they're not part of the official numbers. Okay, so the official number is
96.
98.
You're going with 98?
I think so. Yep, 98.
Okay, we'll go with 98 then.
So whoever wins, Frank, you can announce the winner at the end.
I definitely will.
The training today on who gets a T-Shack hat, and we'll get your address and everything so we can mail that to you. All right, so let's go ahead and kick it off. I want to welcome everybody to the training today. Thank you for your interest in this topic. We are excited to present some really interesting facts to you today that we were able to gather and put together in a webinar. We're hopeful that it will be helpful to you going forward when you're, if you're a realtor, if you're a housing counselor, if you're a lender, to use this information to your benefit so that you can craft messages, create programs, make sure that you have resources available, all that. So down payment assistance EMAS, resources to better serve Hispanic homebuyers. So first I will introduce myself. I am Sarah Eleanor. I'm the Senior Manager of Homeownership Programs at T-Shack. I've been here for about 10.5 years, which is crazy. But I was just chatting with Mike Campbell, the new Executive Director of the Habitat affiliate. I started my housing career at Habitat for Humanity and have moved on to different various roles. Since then, I've been a housing counselor, helping people get into homes. And then when we moved here, sorry, I'm still letting people in, so I might seem distracted. When we moved to Austin, which is where my husband's originally from, didn't have a job right away. So I actually ended up starting to volunteer at Habitat for Humanity here locally in Austin. And I met all the T-Shack staff on a job site one day. They were doing a team building exercise. And so I started chatting with them about my passion for affordable housing and wanting to get back into it here locally and in Texas. So when they had a job available, they reached back out to me a little less than a year after that experience. And I've been here ever since. And so it's a great place to work. I'm joined today by Delia Davila. She is our Senior Manager of Compliance. And then we also have Frank Duplashan. He's our homeownership specialist. Caught you taking a drink of coffee there, Frank.
Hey, what's up?
And he will be helping present as well as Delia some material today. So many of you may know that June is National Homeownership Month. And every year, T-Shack tries to do something special to celebrate that month, to celebrate homeownership. And this year, we decided to focus our efforts on launching some much needed Spanish resources that focus on our down payment assistance and mortgage credit certificate programs. We also launched a podcast in Spanish that Ms. Delia Davila on here today hosted with one of our top lenders, Carla Mendoza, in the El Paso area. And that podcast episode is all about our down payment assistance and mortgage credit certificate programs. And then in addition, we're doing this webinar today to talk about the state of Hispanic homeownership. So on this webinar, we're going to take a little bit deeper dive into the state of Hispanic homeownership today. We will discuss what barriers this demographic faces, both real and perceived, and what opportunities there might be to increase Hispanic homeownership rates here in Texas. Much of the data that you will see today comes from the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. It's a State of Hispanic Homeownership report that they put out every year. And it's a really fantastic report. In addition, I pulled some information from a smaller report/survey that a company called Maxwell performed. And furthermore, we'll talk a little bit about our down payment assistance and mortgage credit certificate programs and how they might be able to address some of the barriers that Hispanics face. And then finally, we'll share some Spanish and English marketing tools that you can use to help market yourself, help market our down payment assistance and mortgage credit certificate programs, and homeownership in general to this demographic. So the goal for today, my hope is that if you're a lender, if you're a realtor, if you're a housing counselor, I want you to be able to use this data to your advantage when you're creating action plans, when you're creating marketing strategies, messaging, social media content, et cetera, that will help us reach this demographic and hopefully increase Hispanic homeownership rates. So with that, let's get started. So if you are joining us today and you've never heard of the Texas State Affordable Housing Corporation, or TSHAC as we fondly refer to ourselves, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are created by the Texas legislature, and our mission is to serve the housing needs of low to moderate income Texans or other underserved populations. So we came up with this concept of build, buy, and stay to tell folks what we do as a whole. So we help developers build and rehabilitate affordable housing, multifamily and single family across the state of Texas through various financing streams, our bonding authority, et cetera. Then we have our buy component, which is where we have our down payment assistance and mortgage credit certificate programs to help people buy a home. And then we have our stay component, where we actually fund nonprofits that are providing housing counseling services, financial education, credit counseling, et cetera, home buyer education. And we do bring in training for them at a reduced cost, a lot of times 100% covered. And we also offer scholarships for folks that are traveling from out of town. So we bring in that training to hopefully help them continue their education and bring that education back to their communities. Ultimately, we want folks to be successful homeowners, and we want them to stay in their homes. So we have a lot of other ways that we support the community as well in that component. As a part of our buy component, that's where our down payment assistance and mortgage credit certificate programs lie. And we have the Homes for Texas Heroes Home Loan Program and the Home Sweet Texas Home Loan Program. So the down payment assistance and the mortgage credit certificates are available under those umbrellas. And basically what you just need to take away from that is that between the two programs, we can serve anybody in the state of Texas, regardless of their profession, as long as they meet our income limits and credit score criteria. So basically anybody has the ability to qualify for these programs that you'll hear about from Frank a little bit later. So the first thing we wanted to point out was just the general population of Hispanic or Latinos in the United States versus Texas. So basically what you see here is that 18.9% of the overall US population is Hispanic or Latino. And here in Texas, it's double that. So we actually have 40.2% of Hispanic or Latinos living in Texas. This slide is showing you how our programs are serving that demographic. So while I think, in comparison to the 40.2% that are living in Texas, we're serving 40.35% of Hispanic and Latino households with our down payment assistance and mortgage credit certificate programs. I'm proud of that number. We're proud of that number here, but we can always do better. And so that's why we're doing this webinar today and educating ourselves along with y'all so that we can partner up and make that number go up. So I did post this link. We will be recording this webinar today. We are going to be able to post it on our website going forward, so you will have access to this going forward if you would like to refresh your memory in the future or go back and kind of use some of this data to, like I said, craft messages. But here's the link for the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals State of Homeownership Report. You can also Google it and you'll easily find it. So just put in 2022 there and you'll get that most recent report that they put out. But the first data point here that I wanted to show, let me let one more person in here. Latinos continue forming more new households than any other demographic group. In fact, in Texas, about 30% speak Spanish as their primary language at home. And in 2022, Latinos added 628,000 new households, the largest growth in over a decade, and more than double that of non-Hispanic white households. Latinos accounted for 38.7% of all household formations last year. Not only did Hispanic population grow significantly, but 2021 data is showing that they are also starting to buy more homes than ever before. And by 2030, this is the number that blew my mind. By 2030, this growing sector will represent an estimated 56% of all new homeowners. By 2030, that's 7 years from now, Hispanic and Latinos will represent 56% of all new homeowners. So this is a huge upcoming market that we need to be prepared to serve. And so the one other data point I wanted to point out here is that in 2021, Latinos purchased more than 735,000 homes with a mortgage, which is an increase of 42.5% from just 2018. So we're seeing just huge numbers here. And, these are national numbers, but you can imagine that I would assume these numbers are even bigger here in Texas, given the fact that we have more than double the national percentage of people that are Hispanic and Latino living in Texas. Sorry, every time I click out, I got to click back in the slides. The next thing that we wanted to show is that on average, Latinos are buying homes at a younger age than the general population and their non-Hispanic white counterparts. So here we're showing you that 70.6%, that's a huge percentage, of Latinos who purchased a home in 2021 were under the age of 45. Okay, so 70% of those that bought a home in 2021 were under the age of 45. So let that sink in a little bit. The next thing we wanted to talk about was what loan products are Hispanic and Latinos more prone to using, or more likely to use rather. So you'll see that in 2021, Latinos were twice as likely to finance their home through FHA. And this may be due in part to its accessibility, because Latinos were actually 66% more likely to be denied conventional financing than their non-Latino counterparts that year. So in 2021, that's 66% more likely to be denied conventional financing. And then comparatively, they were only 4% more likely to be denied purchase financing through FHA. So Latinos are using FHA as their primary mortgage financing, right? And while there's still a stark discrepancy between denial rates for Latinos and their non-Hispanic counterparts, the gap is narrowing. So in 2021, Latinos were still 47% more likely to be denied financing for a home purchase than their non-Hispanic applicant counterparts. However, this figure dropped from 58% in 2018. So in, basically, what is that, 3 years, it went down a whole 11 percentage points. So it went from 58% being denied to 47% being denied. So we're making progress, but still not great. The main reason that they are being denied for financing, according to this report, is due to debt to income ratios. So debt to income ratios were the primary reason that they were being denied. The DTIs were just too high. Okay, let me do one more thing here. The next thing I wanted to point out was just the economic indicators for this demographic here in Texas. So you'll see that our Hispanic homeownership rate is 58.7. Our population percentage is 40.2%, which I talked about in the very beginning. But the main thing I wanted to show is the average or the median household income is $54,857. The main reason I wanted to point this out is because this median income would qualify, basically anybody who makes that would qualify for down payment assistance and mortgage credit certificate programs. Okay, so just keep that number in mind when you're thinking about this demographic. There's huge opportunity here for folks to use programs like TSHACs or just in general, down payment assistance programs. The next slide, we're going to show you kind of the breakdown of the Latino population in general. So Latinos account for more than half of the US population growth over the last 10 years. The majority of young Latinos are US born. 94.3% of Latinos under the age of 18 are US born. I found that fascinating. I didn't realize that that percentage was so high. The next thing that you can see with these little donut charts, I guess I don't know if that's the technical term, but that's what they look like. The donut charts will show you sort of the breakdown in age of this population. And you can see that a large percentage of this population is in the prime home buying age or prime home buying season of their life. You remember we discussed that over 70% of Latinos that have bought homes were under the age of 45. So you can see that a large percentage are in that category already. And then that's followed by another large percentage, Gen Z, that will be ready to buy a home in the next 5 to 10 years. So I believe that that's kind of helping to make up that 56% of all new home buyers will be in that area, or 56% of all new homeowners by 2030. So we're seeing, you know, this is a large percentage of people that we need to be prepared to serve. Latinos also have a super high participation in the labor force. And they are 1.7 times more likely to start a business than any other demographic group. So between those two, I think this shows that we need to make them aware of homeownership opportunities. We need to make them aware of homeownership programs to get them into housing. And while Latinos have among the lowest education attainment of all demographics, education levels are rising. Latino enrollment has more than doubled in the last 2 decades. And today, Latinos make up 1 in 5 students enrolled in colleges or trade schools. Income growth, along with what we said on the previous slide about high participation in the labor force, is another reason that building awareness about homeownership opportunities and home buying programs like TSHACs or other down payment assistance options is so important. You know, their income is outpacing overall US growth. So we need to, you know, educate them and teach them that using that income wisely by building wealth for your family and getting into homeownership is the right way forward. Okay, so we talked about the state of Hispanic homeownership, kind of where we're at. Now we're going to move into what are some of the barriers that this demographic faces. And then we'll go on to there from to move on into like opportunities to serve this market. So one of the biggest barriers, the first thing we'll mention is that, you know, the lack of homes for sale has caused many markets across the US to experience high home appreciation rates. And so this makes it really difficult to find affordable housing, affordable homes. In addition, New Jersey and Texas, which are home to a combined 13.8 million Latinos, both made the top 10 in overall home price appreciation. So we're seeing that folks are having a difficult time finding affordable homes here in Texas. Rising interest rates has also become a large barrier to many trying to purchase a home. It's, you know, caused a significant drop in purchasing power for that demographic. You'll see here the ones that I have highlighted. Basically, this is showing you year over year the increase in monthly mortgage payments. And some of these areas with some of the highest increases were in Texas. So Dallas, saw a 58.7% increase in monthly mortgage payments year over year from, I believe, 2021 to 2022. And then San Antonio was close behind with 50.9% increase in monthly mortgage payments. So we're seeing that, interest rates it's putting a damper on their ability to buy. Also, student loan debt is causing DTI issues. And then the final one, this one was, we kind of knew this was happening, but there was a specific data point that I wanted to point out to you all. Investor purchases were actually highest in markets that are considered more affordable. In McAllen and El Paso, Texas, two of the top 3 opportunity markets for mortgage-ready Latinos, 34% and 33% of their home sales in 2022 went to investors, respectively. So that's causing real challenges for this demographic as well. Moreover, Latinos make up the largest share of near mortgage-ready individuals of any racial or ethnic group. And there's an opportunity to improve their overall mortgage readiness through financial education and counseling. And so this is where we all can play a huge part as realtors, as lenders, as housing counselors, and even HFAs like TSHAC can work on messaging that speaks to and educates this group about opportunities to get a house, that speaks to this mortgage ready group of people that is so large. And the last bullet point I wanted to point out is that the number of mortgage ready Latinos has nearly doubled over the last 10 years. So again, a huge market up and coming that we need to be ready to serve. The main thing here is that credit scores are increasing significantly with this demographic. I was impressed by these numbers as well. So from 2017, the average or median credit score was 648, and it's up to 669 in 2022. That's a great credit score, and that can qualify for really good interest rates, and it can definitely qualify for down payment assistance programs like TSHACs and others out there. So again, focusing on financial education, focusing on credit, I think would go a long way in propelling Latino homeownership. Now, this slide was one that I got really excited about. Obviously, from a business development standpoint, from a marketing standpoint for our DPA and MCC programs, but also for you realtors and lenders on the call. Holy cow. Top 25 markets for mortgage-ready Latinos, 8 of them are here in Texas, and the top 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are here in Texas. McAllen, Edinburgh, Mission, Brownsville, Harlingen, El Paso, Laredo, Corpus Christi, Killeen, Temple, San Antonio, New Braunfels, and Houston. So big markets. I think, we do a lot of work in the Houston area, but I would love to see us do more in the Valley. I would love to see us do more in El Paso. So seeing that these markets are full of mortgage-ready Latinos means that we have some work to do on our messaging, on our social media content, digital content, things that we are putting out there to build awareness about these programs. So I wanted to point this out to everyone on the call as well. There's a big opportunity here. So we went from barriers, right? And now we're jumping into opportunities. And this is a big one. The next one is this survey that NAHREP completed shows that 38% of those that responded said that at least half their buyer transactions were conducted entirely in Spanish. So Spanish language still remains the dominant in Latino purchase transactions. They want to be able to speak their native language because this is a complicated subject. It's not something that you necessarily feel super comfortable talking in your non-native language about because you want to feel super comfortable about how you're investing your family's money and how you're building wealth for your family, all those things. And this is a big transaction, biggest of most of our lives. So we want to make sure that we have Spanish resources available. Then we have the prevalence of first-time home buyers. Many said, 41% said that most, if not all, were first-time home buyers. So that leads me to the next slide. Okay, if they're first-time home buyers, then we should be making sure they know about down payment assistance, right? Fewer than 10% of their Latino home buyers used DPA in 2022. So if we were to use the 735 households that purchased a home in 2021, that indicates to me that DPA and MCC programs could have been used to help over 650,000 households if we applied that math. We have some work to do. We have a huge opportunity here, and we need to start building awareness. For those buyers that could utilize down payment assistance, many of them indicated that lender partners were the most popular way of finding out about programs in each market. So, lenders, especially local lenders, they wanted to work with local lenders. So, you need to be making sure that people are aware of the services that you have, what Spanish-speaking staff you may have on board to help them, maybe what translation services you have available, so on and so forth. Okay, now we're going to transition to another interesting report that we wanted to share with you. And that was a report done by Maxwell, a company. And they did a survey of about 1,100 Hispanic American recent home buyers. They wanted to know like habits, motivations, reasons for lender selection, et cetera. So this could be helpful in crafting messages about the resources that we have available to help them overcome the real and perceived barriers that they're sharing with us in this report. So the first question was, how did you earn extra income for a down payment? Many worked more hours or took on another job to save for a down payment. This makes me wonder if they think 20% is required to be put down. Do they know that they might not need to work an extra job or extra hours with low down payment programs or down payment assistance programs like TSHACs? The next question they asked, what do you think will be the main blocker to securing a mortgage? And DTI was the #1 worry, followed by credit score and down payment. So how can we craft messaging promoting the MCC program, the Mortgage Credit Certificate program? This is a program that provides the buyer 20% of their mortgage interest back every single year. And the lender can use that as additional income when qualifying them for the loan up front, in turn, lowering their DTI and giving them more purchasing power. So how can we promote that program to help them with the DTI issues that they're seeing? Or use DPA to use that for your down payment and use your own funds to pay down some debts that might be causing DTI issues. Do these buyers know about housing counseling and financial education services in their areas provided by local nonprofits? How can the lenders and realtors help with credit score fears? These are all questions that I was kind of typing out and asking myself when seeing this information. So how can we build awareness about this? Have you had to overcome language as a barrier in the mortgage process? That was another question. Language continues to be a barrier. We need to ensure that we have multiple people or at least someone that speaks Spanish on staff, materials, resources, etc. Like TSHAC, we just revamped a lot of our training materials and marketing resources that have been promoted throughout this month to celebrate Homeownership Month. We made sure that our website is able to be translated completely into Spanish with the Google feature in the upper right-hand corner that you can do on most websites. That kind of thing. Make people aware that you have resources available on your website. Almost a quarter of respondents said that language acted as a barrier, with 34% of that segment saying they needed to bring a family member to translate in order to move through the mortgage process. So maybe you can have a service in place to offer these folks. They don't have to use a family member. Maybe you have a service in place to help with translations. A sizable percentage also reported that not being able to find a Spanish-speaking lender in their region. So we need to make sure that we have dedicated bilingual services among loan providers. Okay, some key takeaways, and then we're going to jump into, Frank's going to tell you all about our down payment assistance and mortgage credit certificate programs. So think about ways that you can create messages that address these barriers that we talked about, the real and perceived. So for example, so many indicated that they had to take on a second job to save for a down payment. How can you capture people's attention with a message like working 2 jobs to save for a down payment on a home? Let us tell you why you might not need to. Another example, we speak Spanish and can help you buy a home. Is credit a concern? Is debt a concern? We have programs that can help. And then obviously translating some of that messaging into Spanish. I'm going to do my best here. No down payment, no problema. Hay programas que puede asistirle con el pago del enganche cuando comprando una casa. Like, I tried it. I do speak Spanish, but sometimes I get nervous when I'm in front of a large group of people. So translating some of those interesting messages and speaking directly to their fears, to help them overcome and not be scared to ask about these programs. Another huge resource when creating messaging, and I've just started playing around with it. I know Frank also has AI, ChatGPT, all the other platforms that are coming out as we speak. It is such a great tool to help you get started. It's not necessarily something that's going to create all the content for you, but it will help you get started and you can build on it from there. So anything that you're wanting them to create, make sure that it's factual, of course, because sometimes the AI engines will pull in information from various sources and sometimes it's not correct, but you know what you're trying to say, so you can make sure it's correct and factual. But it's such an easy way to get started and get over that creativity hump that sometimes a lot of us have when we're just trying to create something from scratch. The other thing is that 41% indicated in that report that they chose a local lender, credit union, or a bank for their mortgage. So it's clear that these borrowers are searching for resources in their local communities to meet their lending needs. They want to trust someone, they want to see you, they want to meet you. And so make sure that, support for this demographic is well known. Place it on your website, build relationships with each other, realtors, lenders, housing counselors, create a referral, pathway with each other. Down payment program providers like us, build relationship with us. Talk to Frank, talk to me, talk to Kayla, talk to Delia. We want to be helpful as much as we can. All right, I'm going to pass it to Frank, and he's going to talk a little bit about our down payment assistance and mortgage credit certificate programs for those of you that are unfamiliar. So Frank, take it away.
All right, I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible, but I was taking a lot of notes and I want to make sure I hit these points as we go through this. So we're going to talk a little bit about the programs that TSHEC offers, our down payment assistance and our mortgage interest tax credits, which is the MCC program. And Sarah mentioned it earlier. It's our way that we can assist people if they're having their DTI issues with getting approved for a mortgage. But I want to point something out. We were talking about affordable housing and how it is a little bit more difficult to find these days. We don't have it necessarily in the presentation, but I want to let you guys know that the stats showed that the Hispanic home ownership is usually carried out through FHA loans. And when you're using our program, you can use an FHA loan to also purchase a manufactured house, as long as it's double wide or greater and attached to land. So that's some affordable housing that can be purchased using vehicles that are already existing. Manufactured housing, TSHAC programs, and FHA loans, which people are actually getting approved for currently. So let's talk a little bit about our down payment assistance first, and then we'll get into the good stuff with a mortgage credit certificate. And just so you guys are aware, your lender has to be approved to be able to offer these programs. Oh, and if you don't mind, can you go back for me real quick? Your lender has to be approved to offer these programs. So if your local lender or your local credit union is not currently approved, please reach out to me. I'll reach out to them directly, and we'll see if we can create that relationship so that they can offer the programs. Because if it comes from someone local, people are a lot more likely to believe that there's actually grants and assistance out there for them. So yeah, we're good to go. Thanks, Sarah. So when you're using our down payment assistance programs, it comes in 4 different levels, 2, 3, 4, and 5%. That total percentage is based on the loan amount. So I don't know where you found a $100,000 home, but if you did, and the loan amount was $100,000, 5% of that is $5,000. So it's really easy math. There's no need to be a first-time home buyer when you're using our down payment assistance programs, and our programs can be used to cover your down payment and or closing costs. So if you're doing a USDA or VA loan somewhere out in the Valley or in San Antonio, you can actually use all of our funds to actually apply towards the closing costs or principal reduction, and you might be able to get some earnest funds back. And lastly, each program has its own interest rate that changes daily, and it's tied to that assistance amount. So the grant that you're given has no interest charge, but the mortgage rate does change daily, and your lender will quote that to the home buyer. Those rates are available on our website, and you can actually check those daily. So let's get to the good stuff.
Your favorite topic, Frank.
This is my favorite topic. I was holding back a little secret because someone asked, we see that DTI is an issue. How do we assist with DTI being an issue? And this is the way we do that. So 41%, according to the numbers, 41% of the Hispanic home buyers were first-time home buyers. So that means, in theory, they should be receiving this program, every single one of them, okay? And what an MCC does, it's for first-time home buyers only. What it is, it's an annual tax credit that has no maximum value. And when you file your federal income taxes, what it would do is it will give you a 20% rebate on the interest you paid every year you live in your home. Your lender will take that number, whatever it is, that 20% rebate after that full year of interest, and can add that in as income. So whether that's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, that can be added in as annual income. And that really helps bridge that gap with that DTI. Let's go to the next slide, Sarah, so we can get to the example.
Sorry, still letting people in.
No, you're fine. So this is my favorite part of the MCC program. It's an example of how it works. So if your loan amount is $260,000 with the interest rate of 6.875%, you would pay almost $18,000 in interest, that year. But with the MCC program, you get 20% of that back as a rebate when you file your income taxes. So that's $35.75 you'd be able to get back when you file your taxes. That's huge. Normally, you wouldn't get that back. But my favorite thing, and I don't know about you guys, I'm a very frugal person. And when I buy something, I never tell people what the original price is. I always tell people what the sales price is. So your sales price, your effective interest, what you're actually paying, is really 5.5% because you're getting a 20% rebate. Okay. So yes, your lender is qualifying on 6.875. With that 20% rebate given back, you're actually paying 5.5 on the loan. So that income is how we can help remove some of those DTI issues, or at least alleviate some of those DTI issues just with this program. And it's every single year you live in the home that you get this rebate.
Yeah, so I mean, that's, the lender can use that $35.75, that $3,575 to add to the borrower's income that helps them qualify for the loan up front. I mean, that's a significant chunk. Basically, they take that number and they divide it by 12 to decide what the monthly income is that they're adding to that file, to that borrower's application. And that is how they determine what their overall qualifying amount is. And that's going to increase their purchasing power too, which is what we were talking about earlier, because with higher interest rates, their purchasing power is suffering. So
you guys are making me so happy seeing these questions, because I love when people get into this program, because it's so important to me. So just really quickly to go through them, you can apply for the MCC by itself. You don't have to apply it with the down payment assistance. And the lender is who actually submits the application. There's nothing for the home buyer to do except take a home buyer education course, which I'll get to. So the lender is who submits everything, which is why it's important that you work with an approved lender that knows what they're doing. And lastly, first-time home buyer. Yes, that's correct. It's someone who hasn't owned a home, or it's someone who hasn't lived in a home that they own in the past 3 years. So even if you've owned a home or inherited one, if you haven't lived in it 3 years, you're a first-time home buyer. So what we have to get to is that the down payment assistance does not make, let's get over these myths. So down payment assistance does not make a sales contract more complicated. You actually don't even have to let the person that's listing the home or the listing agent know you're using down payment assistance. They shouldn't know until they get to the closing table, because TSHAC does not send a wire at closing. We don't delay your closing. It only takes us 1 to 2 business days to review your file and approve it. The lender themselves will pay the down payment assistance, and then we refund them later. So you're not waiting on us to send any money. There's no need for the seller to get involved.
And they're using traditional financing streams,
Yes.
FHA, USDA, VA, or conventional financing with our program. So that's all that needs to be disclosed.
Exactly. And as far as it takes longer, we've already dispelled that. We don't have any additional appraisals or any additional viewing of the home that's necessary on our end. As long as you meet the FHA, VA, USDA conventional guidelines, you're good to go. And as far as for our DPA programs, only first-time home buyers can use it. That's not true, right? We learned today that for our down payment assistance programs, you can even currently own a home, or if you could have owned a home in the past, and you can use down payment assistance to purchase a new home. And the last myth is that most home buyers don't qualify, and that's also true. We have new income limits that are coming out, and I'll just go ahead and say the number because I memorized it. They're not out yet, but in general, it does go higher depending on other counties. But in general, if you make less than $112,000 a year, you qualify for our down payment assistance programs. So that's in general the current income limits. But if you like more information, of course, I'm here to give it to you.
And so we, like Frank said, 620 is our minimum FICO credit score requirement for our down payment assistance. The MCC doesn't have a minimum credit score requirement. But as we talked about earlier on those slides, the median credit score for Hispanic Latinos right now, as of last year, is 669. So they easily qualify for those programs. So.
And if you're unsure if someone qualifies, we do have an eligibility quiz on our website that asks the general questions. What county will you be purchasing in? How much money do you make? Are you a first-time home buyer? How many people in your household? Very, very general questions, and it'll give them a response if they're qualified or not. And just kind of going back to what Sarah was saying on my favorite difference between down payment assistance and MCC is if you're just doing the MCC program by itself, there's also no residency or citizenship requirements also. There's as long as you have the ability to get approved for a mortgage and you meet FHA, VA, USDA, or conventional guidelines, you can add an MCC to that loan. There's no residency requirements for just an MCC.
And just
yes.
A couple of other things I wanted to throw in there. So if you're just using an MCC, you only have to have an I-10 and file taxes. So you can apply for an MCC program as long as you have an I-10. For the DPA, it's a little bit more stringent. So, but we have a large array of acceptable visa types. One of the major questions we get all the time is DACA. DACA is acceptable with our DPA program. But we do have an extensive list, a little residency guide that we're happy to share with any lender, realtor, or housing counselor on the call. You can email us and we'll send that over to you, because you may be able to use that to start marketing to certain demographics that are local to you that you know about, certain statuses, visas that people have that you're trying to serve.
Of course, we see a lot of questions coming in, guys. I promise you we'll get to them. I promise we'll get to them. Let's go to the next slide. So how does someone qualify? Because that's what you guys are asking. The most important part is that every home buyer, at least one home buyer on the loan must take a home buyer education course, and they're 33% less likely to fall behind if they do. On this website, Texas Financial Toolbox, we actually list those resources where you can search by your city name and pull up those resources in your area. Some of you may actually be on that list. If you want to go to the next slide. There we go. Some of you might actually be on this list when you type in your city name. Your organization may be there, but these are organizations that we support, and we list there for home buyers to go and receive their financial education, credit counseling, foreclosure prevention, all those good resources. These I call these our stay resources, how we help people stay in their homes and get approved for one.
I think from here we pass it on over to Delia, right, Frank?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Hey, Delia, I'm used to just talking for the
You're
rest
just
of the
like
time.
gonna keep on going.
I'm just going to keep going.
That's okay. No, I just basically I just wanted to go over what you guys can do, you know, from here on forward. So loan officers, you guys need to become DPA and MCC subject matter experts. Incorporate your any DPA and MCC program into your marketing content. You really should be building relationships with active Latino realtors in the community. Ensure you have someone or multiple people on your team that speak Spanish, or as Sarah pointed out earlier, find a service or some sort of a third party to help with Spanish speakers. Be active in your community. Join forces with local housing counseling organizations. We have a Train the Trainer webinar links on our website where you can do some training for yourself. And also, if you help 4 families, you get listed on our website for free referrals. So if you close on 4 loans, you'll be on our website where people can find you. So that's a really great opportunity to reach out to the community. We also want to, next slide. Hold on, there's something else I have to say. So one of the things we wanted to mention just in general regarding partnering up with people, you want to partner with people in your community that serve the same borrowers that you serve. So host a first-time home buyer workshop event and teach realtors how to better serve the Hispanic community or Latino market. You should also host workshops in Spanish. By taking the trainer webinar that we mentioned, you can gain access to a hidden page that has our website that has a PowerPoint presentation with the scripts already provided and included. And there is one in particular that's in Spanish. So that's a really great resource for you guys to use. Realtors, what can you do? You would definitely want to court TSHAC's top lenders about our DPA and MCC program offerings. You want to also educate yourself with any of the DPA and MCC programs in your market. Attend homebuyer education courses, build relationships with active Latino officers in the community. You want to ensure that you have, again, somebody in your team that speaks Spanish or some sort of service or Spanish speakers. You want to be active in your community, join forces with your local housing counseling organizations, and again, become a TSHAC trainer by attending the Train the Trainer webinar, or take the free CE course and get listed on our website for free referrals. All of that information is on our website. I'm sure Frank would be happy to guide you to all of those trainings. So housing counseling organizations will sometimes, they're sometimes looking for experts on certain topics for all of their home buyer education workshops. So a lot of times they'll reach out to local organizations, local realtors, local loan officers to see how you can, how you can plug in and build relationships with these housing counseling agencies so that, you can create referral strategies. So it's always good to reach out to the community. This also, is good for loan officers. You guys should be reaching out to your communities so that everybody can partner up. Mm-hmm. So housing counselors, what you guys want to do, obviously, is you want to court TSHAC's top lenders and realtors about these MCC and DPA programs. You can also educate yourself on the DPA and MCC programs in your market. Share this information in your home buyer education courses. You want to include brochures and information in their packets. We have Spanish materials that you can download or have, ask us for information to provide information in those information package to all of your people that you're training or you're talking to. You want to also take that Train the Trainer course. It's a great course. We recommend everybody really take it and gain access to the Spanish marketing presentation. And, we have a lot of that information ready to go. So, please take advantage of it. And this goes.
Share your podcast.
And we share the podcast, you know,
That
we
you just
have a
did,
lot of
yeah.
information. So for everybody, this includes, you know, lenders, realtors, housing counselors. You want to craft messages that include some of the data that we discussed today. You want to, you know, discuss how you can use the MCC to lower the DTI and mortgage interest rates to increase buying power. You need to mention how you don't have to work 2 jobs for, you know, to come up with that money for down payment, because we're here to provide down payment money. You know, create video content, because videos receive 48% more views and 120% more shares than images on Facebook. So they also receive 59% more engagement than images. So the key is videos. Please create video content. And that's where it's at right now. It's all about videos. If you create content that includes information about our DPA and MCC programs, feel free to tag TSHAC. That way you can gain access to all of our networks, to our network and vice versa. You know, everybody's, again, building relationships is where it's at here, making those videos, getting people to notice what we're doing, what you're doing, and, you know, increase the power of social networking, especially to the Latin community, because we obviously can see that they need help.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this demographic, along with just our overall population in the US, are getting their information from social media. You know, they're seeing videos, they're seeing like basically they're getting their news, they're getting their educational material from these videos. So how can we start, you know, being more in their face this way? So we need to create content that they are open to receiving and hopefully build awareness in that way. Again, like Delia said, tag us, please tag us, because that way you get access to our network, we get access to your network. It's a win-win for everybody. And it's, again, more likely that people will start to share that content, and then we get access to their networks. So social networking is really a powerful thing when we use it in the right ways. So thank you, Delia. I appreciate you sharing all that information. And she did mention that, you know, if you're a loan officer and you want to become a participating loan officer, you can, and you can be listed on our website if you help at least 4 families use our program in the last 12 months. And we update our website every quarter. We reach out to you if you meet that threshold, and we ask for you to create a profile for yourself. And there are different ways that we highlight you. If you make it into the top 20, then you'll be listed in the statewide top performing loan officer section, which is just our top 20. And then we have our regional top performers. Those folks are based on the entire previous year's production. So it's like the top 3 for that region. And then down here, the preferred loan officers by county, this is where you can list yourself if you've helped at least 4 families, and we ask for you to create a profile. We now have the ability to add a picture to your profile, which I think is super fantastic, because we've all learned that folks that are looking for lending partners or realtors, they tend to want to work with someone that looks like them. And that's one of the biggest things that we've heard over and over again. And so we were able to add that ability to add a picture. And then also I'll share with you a little bit later that you can also add any language that you might speak. So if there's additional languages, we have a lot of languages that we added this year that you can indicate that you speak, so people can find you, you know, that way. Also, if you want to become a participating realtor, we'll list you as well. So some of those trainings that we mentioned, the CE class we offer, you'll get 1 free CE credit for attending, learn a little bit more in depth about the DPA and MCC programs that Frank touched on today. And we also give you the ability to be spotlighted. So we send out a homebuyer survey every couple of months to anybody that's used our program in the last couple of months. We ask them, did you have a great experience with your realtor? If you did, please share that information with us, and we will spotlight them on our website as well as our social media accounts. So that's a way for you to get up and running with us. And then you'll also list yourself under the participating realtor in your county. Find a participating realtor in your county section. Finally, wanted to go over a little bit of what's on the website, right? So readytobuyaTexashome.com. Under the home buyers and renters section is where you can find the eligibility quiz. So if you have somebody in mind, again, we don't ask for any personal information on this quiz. It's very high level, and there's no, they don't have to provide their contact information to get the results on the quiz. I know that's always annoying when I do those online because I'm like, oh, then I'm going to get all these spam emails and phone calls, but that's not what we do. We just very high level, you'll know in about a minute whether or not the client qualifies or, uh-oh, got a little error message on my computer. I hope it doesn't freeze up. Okay, so lenders, you have your own section on the website. You can see today's interest rates. You can see our marketing resources and brochures. We will send a lot of those to you for free, no charge. A lot of them are downloadable, co-brandable. This is where you can find the training that we mentioned. So if you want to get up and running with us, you can go to the lenders section on the website and go to the lender training link. Realtors, you also have your own section. You can see today's interest rates. You can see our marketing materials. And then again, realtor training, that's where you would find the CE class that we mentioned, the train the trainer that we mentioned. And again, so many different languages, so make sure that you add any languages when you're creating your profile for folks to find you. Here's some examples of the marketing materials that we have available. So this is a pre-printed brochure that you can order. You can, order it from us on our website in that section under the Lenders and Realtors tab. We'll send it to you free of charge. There's a place on the back for your business card. Now, these downloadable flyers are what we worked really hard on to translate and to redevelop and, redo the graphic design work and all of that. So these are the flyers that you can download yourself and co-brand at the bottom and then hand out wherever you want. Now, we did talk about how the majority of Hispanic and Latino home buyers are first-time home buyers, right? And we created this resource a while back. It's 10 steps to buying a house. Like, what are they going to experience when they buy their first home? And this is something you can order from us. It's pre-printed, it's double-sided. So one side is English, one side is Spanish. However, if you'd prefer to just have one or the other, you can download them as well. And you can co-brand them when you download them. So we don't have the ability to co-brand any of our pre-printed materials that we'll send to you, but if you download it, you can co-brand it yourself and print it yourself, however works best. I also mentioned a few slides back that you can translate our entire website into Spanish. And so this is where you can do it on the upper right-hand corner. You select the language and it will translate all of our material into Spanish for any client that you might be working with. And I think we're done. We did it. High five, y'all. I'm really hopeful that everybody on the call today found some really interesting, got your wheels turning, thinking about how we can better serve this up and coming market or just now as well. So now we can open it up to a quick Q&A. What time is it? Oh, we made it right at 11. Perfect. I was hoping that we would have at least 20 minutes or so for a Q&A. So anybody, I know Frank's been answering some questions in the chat, but if you want to unmute yourself, ask a question, we're happy to address anything or share ideas. And even if you guys have best practices or ideas that you've done that have worked to serve this market, please share.
Yeah, so if on the MCC credit, do you have to have a certain income to qualify for that? Because I had someone do a DPA and I had a lender say they didn't qualify for the MCC.
Right, so our DPA by itself does have a little higher income limit than the MCC product. Just has to do with the financing mechanism that funds the two programs. One has more flexibility than the MCC. So our DPA has more flexibility than the MCC. So there is a more strict income limit with the MCC program versus the DPA on its own.
And I would
So is it one or the other?
if you
Oh,
qualify
I'm
for
sorry.
both, you can use both.
I also wanted to add that the MCC program also has a purchase price limit where the DPA program does it. So it could have been either the income or purchase price limit. They could have
Good point.
kept you from qualifying for the MCC.
Good point.
Thank you.
So I had a lender also mention that on line 24 of the taxes, if they don't have an amount there, that they won't qualify for that. So that's something to watch for.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Oh, go ahead.
So on previewing to see if a borrower qualifies for the MCC, one of the things that the lender pointed out was to look at line 24 on the income tax returns. If they don't have an amount in that line, they wouldn't qualify because they don't receive, I guess, a return, a tax.
Okay, yeah, let me dig in a little bit deeper on that one. So for those of you that are really interested in the MCC, this was kind of a teaser for you. We do have a giant MCC training that we just did. Actually, Frank and I just did, that digs deep into the MCC program. I would encourage you to take that. It's recorded. It's available 24/7 on our website in those training sections, whether you're a lender or a realtor or a housing counselor. But if they do not have a tax liability, meaning like if they don't make enough income to pay income taxes on, or if they're like on Social Security disability and they're not paying income taxes on that, then they wouldn't qualify for the MCC, because the MCC is a tax credit that comes off of their liability. If there's no liability, if they don't owe income taxes, then they wouldn't want to use the MCC. However, just because they receive a refund doesn't mean that they won't qualify for the MCC. So the way that a refund works is if somebody has, let's say, a borrower has a $10,000 income tax liability based on what they're making in their tax bracket, right? Then they set up their withholding with their employer so that a portion of their paycheck gets put toward that liability every time they get paid, right? And then at the end of the year, if they have more than covered that tax liability, in this case, it's $10,000. Let's say they set aside through their withholding every time they got paid $11,000. The government's saying, oh, hey, it looks like you actually only owed us $10,000, but you paid us $11,000. So we're going to send you $1,000 of your own money back. That's a refund, right? But in that case, an MCC would highly benefit them because their tax liability would go from $10,000 down to, let's say they got a $3,000 credit, it would go down to $7,000, right? And so then if they set the same amount aside every time they got paid, they'd get an even larger refund that year. So, if you ever have any questions, give us a call. If you're a realtor and your lender's saying they don't qualify, but you don't understand why, you can always loop us into the conversation so that we can potentially clear up any misperceptions or misunderstandings. Or it could be that we just all confirm that, yes, that it looks like they don't qualify. Or maybe we confirm that, yes, it looks like they do qualify. So always loop us in if you ever questioning the situation. Oh, Frank, some people are asking, who's the winner?
Ready to announce it? I was letting the questions go. I know who the winner
Well, we
is.
can still go to the questions, but let's
Okay.
announce the winner of the T-Shack hat.
You know who you are. I saw you in the chat. You said you know it was you. So just go ahead and post at least your address for me so I can mail it to me. Or if you want to email me, that's fine.
Who is it?
It's Aaron. Aaron knows it was him. He was right on the dot with the 98.
Oh, Aaron Lara. Okay, Aaron Lara,
Yeah,
you are the winner of the T-Shack hat. Post your
Aaron, you are the guy. If you don't want everybody to have your address, you can just email it.
Oh, that's right. Direct message Frank. Okay, what other questions do y'all have? It might be easier if you just shout them out versus us trying to keep up with the chat.
Somebody asked if there would, if they would ever need to pay anything back if they took the MCC.
So the MCC has the potential for recapture tax, but it's super, super rare. So I believe there was a study done in Iowa about all the people that they had helped use the MCC in the entirety of their program. And the people that actually owed recapture, I think it was like 0.01%. And there's 3 reasons. Okay, so recapture tax happens when 3 things happen, and it has to be all 3. 1, they sell the home within 9 years. 2, they make a net profit after everybody's been paid, including the realtor. And 3, their income has to have increased by 5% above and beyond the income limit for their county at the time they purchased. So for example, if they purchased in the Austin area and the income limit is 112,000, it would be 5% above and beyond 112,000 every year they live in that house, and not what they were making when they moved in. So let's say they were making 90,000 when they moved in. It's actually, they have to increase their income 5% above and beyond the income limit. So that 112 for this example. That's the one that typically does not happen with the clients that are using our program. And so if that one doesn't happen, then they are not subject to recapture, because it's all 3 of those things have to happen or nothing happens. So it is rare. But again, if you guys are interested in the MCC, I would really love for you to take the MCC training. We dive really deep into it, so you can really feel comfortable explaining this program to your clients, and really feel comfortable knowing why they should use it. I think that's been the biggest hurdle for us with the MCC program, is that it's a little bit more confusing than just down payment assistance. That's pretty straightforward, right? Oh, down payment assistance is going to help me with my down payment. And the mortgage credit certificate is a little bit more complicated. So people they get scared, or they just don't fully understand it, so they don't feel like they're ready to sell it. So take the training, really, really get comfortable with it, because it's going to help your business. It's going to help more people get into housing, especially this demographic.
I have a question.
Yeah.
With the down payment assistance program, how long does it take for a person to be approved for that? Like, I have a client that's, we're with the lender, and he never mentioned the down payment assistance program until I mentioned it. And so now I think she's ready to go to a different lender. And my thing is we're already under contract. So how long does it take for the whole process?
So when they make a reservation with us, and they upload, so we ask for a few documents, really not many, documents that they already are going to have, like the purchase contract, the initial loan application. There's one document that's a TSHAC specific document that they have to complete, and that's it. So when they upload those to us, it takes us 24 hours to review it.
Oh, nice.
So we're not adding any time to the process. And a lot of times they're just kind of doing that while they're also underwriting the loan and, doing their due diligence on their end. So it's kind of happening at the same time.
Okay.
So yeah, we can do it very quickly. In fact, we're also fully staffed right now. I can say it's so exciting. But we can provide even higher level of customer service should there be a reason for a rush situation, or, something happened where a document got left off and you're going to closing today. We have people in place to help with those rushes as they come in. I don't think that we've ever not really gotten to a rush request. So lenders and realtors alike love working with TSHAC because of that. It's a good experience for everybody.
So Sarah, I'm not sure who just asked that, but I just went through my first transaction, my first TSHAC transaction and down payment assistance. And it was transparent, basically. There was no additional delay than any other transaction that I've done. The lender was very well educated and versed in TSHAC and
Great.
did
Who did you work
whatever
with?
they needed to do. It was Supreme Lending.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's definitely something that, you know, my goal is to do as many of these as I can. I'm in a very large Hispanic populated neighborhood.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. So they're big opportunities. Yeah.
That I happen to grow up in. And so, you know, I want to do whatever I can to help however many, you know, homeowners get into a home. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that story. Yeah. I think a lot of times, you know, people worry because it's like, oh, down payment assistance, it's going to take too long or it's going to make things too complicated. And our program is not like most, you know, we don't add any additional time. We're not requiring extra appraisals, extra inspections. We're not doing any of that. It's just a regular loan transaction with just a couple of extra documents that the lenders are having the borrower fill out and send to us. But all the other documents they already have, you know, so it's pretty easy.
So since my lender didn't, I guess maybe he doesn't have he's not part of the down payment. Does she need to switch lenders?
What company does that lender work for?
Network funding.
Yes. Okay. I do believe they are approved. But if you want to check with us offline, that would be great. I mean, we can confirm that with you. I know they were approved at one point.
Okay.
And so
they
it could just be, it could just be that sorry.
Oh, that's okay. They have to keep getting approved every year or something?
They're currently approved
every year
right now.
Okay,
they're currently approved right now.
Oh, they are. Great. Thank you for checking, Frank. So what I would do, Ardonia, is I would put that loan officer in touch with us. If you want to email the loan officer and copy us, it could just be that we need to get that loan officer trained and up and running. And that's it.
So I don't want to put his name out there or anything like that.
No, just email us directly. Our email address is homeownership@tshac.org. It's right up on the screen.
Awesome. I got you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
There's a lot of questions about the type of visas that are eligible for our programs.
Yes.
We do have a list of that on our lender portal that all of the participating loan officers can access.
If you're a realtor, feel free to email us. I mean, we'll send you that guide. We'll send you the residency guide that I mentioned that goes over all the different visa types and whether or not they're eligible.
And DACA, I think, is eligible.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Yes.
And just so you guys are aware, I'm not going to send 35 emails. I'm going to wait until all of you email me, and then I'm going to send one email with the attachment. Okay. So just email me, and I promise I will send all of you that document.
And it could be, Frank, you know, we are planning to upload this training today to YouTube, and we're going to send it to everybody that registered, whether they attended today or not, whether they were a part of the 98 or not. And so we can attach that guide as a resource to that email. So it might be just easier for you guys, instead of sending us an email, we can just send it to everybody and that way you'll have it.
I have one more question. I'm so sorry. I have a client that's Hispanic and they don't have any credit. They're cash heavy, but they don't have any credit. Does that lock them out of the down payment program? I mean, because that's their main concern of me helping them is they're like, I don't have credit, and most people need credit. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead, Delia.
I can answer that. If you get an AUS approval, we're more than happy to help anybody. So no credit is, it's fine if you're doing an FHA loan. If there is anybody on the loan that does have a score, that minimum does have to be 640. If you get like a
manual
referral,
underwrite.
Yeah, and if you don't get if you have to do a manual underwrite or if you get a referral on the AUS, but we can make that work. You follow a lot of the basic underwriting guidelines when it comes to that, and we should be able to make it work.
Thank you so much.
Sonia is a new loan officer with Cardinal, and she's saying that she's done a few transactions with TSHAC, and she must say that TSHAC is the easiest to deal with and very quick. So that's nice of you. Thank you for that testimonial.
Most welcome. Yes, and I really mean it because we don't have, I'm from New York and I just moved to Texas 2 years ago. We don't have a lot of DPAs, and the few that I've dealt with in Texas, you guys are the best by far. Like, I think I've dealt with you, Sarah and Frank, personally.
Probably, Sonia.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're the main ones that answer the homeownership emails. And we just recently have another gal that joined our team, Kayla Gillespie. And so we're excited to have a third person helping us with marketing and business development efforts and helping respond quickly to those emails. So we take customer service very seriously. And how long does it take to get approved for the MCC? That was a question I saw that came in. Same for the DPA and the MCC. So if a file gets reserved and a file gets uploaded, we're reviewing it within 1 business day.
Can I just say to that, I'm new. Frank has been super amazing and patient with me. I'm a new lender that started using or approved for MCC. It is absolutely magnificent. So quick, like they respond within a day. If you have everything as far as the guide or the steps, the documents, it is super easy. It just, it's the best thing after sliced bread. If someone qualifies, why not put it on the loan? It's money that is there. It is amazing. It just, I love it. I used it in my first home. And now that I'm doing loans, I'm telling everybody and their mother, they need to have it if they can qualify. So super easy, 2 days max. If there's something missing, you guys will get a response super quick.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. I mean, and we really do, we rely on y'all, I mean, we have to rely on y'all to help us bring awareness to these programs, to this demographic in general. Like, we have quite a few people that speak Spanish on staff, and we're working hard to push out more messaging in Spanish, but we do really rely a lot on our partners, our lenders and our realtor partners and housing counselors as well. Y'all are boots on the ground, and we need your help. And, there's 3 of us in business development and marketing for these programs for the entire state of Texas. And we are located in Austin. And Texas has 254 counties. So we need people in all corners of the state to help us spread the word. So, by you guys taking the training today, thank you. We really appreciate you guys attending these types of things that we put on. And it's our hope that we can help each other. I mean, obviously our programs are meant to help get more home buyers into homes, but it's also meant to help y'all get more home buyers into homes, which is in turn helping your business. So it's a win-win-win. All right, guys, I think we'll wrap it up. I'm not seeing a lot of other questions come in. You have our contact information. Thank you for coming today. We hope it was beneficial. Oh, Frank has one more thing. Sorry.
One last thing, guys, just to kind of reiterate, Gen Z is going to be a huge market. And the earlier you start talking to people about financial education and maintaining their credit and debt to income ratios, the earlier you reach them, the better. Education is the barrier, guys. So let's just make sure everyone is educated first. There's nothing wrong with taking a home buyer education course, even if you don't think you're going to buy a home anytime soon. Education is key. Please make sure we reach out to our young people. That's it. I'm sorry.
I just have one question. So we can go down to a 580 on an FHA. As long as we get an AUS, would you guys make an exception? Because I know 620 is the minimum you guys need.
620 is the minimum for the DPA, but you can attach an MCC. There's no minimum credit score requirement with a standalone MCC.
Okay.
So if you're doing a general, 580 FHA AUS approval loan, you can attach an MCC to that, no problem.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Okay, guys, thanks again. We will be downloading this recording later this afternoon, hopefully getting it up and running on our website and out to you all by the end of the week. depending on how long it takes us to get it uploaded to YouTube. Sometimes that can take a minute. But anyway, you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for coming.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Aaron, I'll be sending you